go and talk about this when we go over the past tense forms, we will notice the fact that the vav can cause the past to become future. And therefore it becomes a very complex vav at that moment, okay? But here, since we only have the future up, we're looking at the vav and the future form here. If we want to change this to make it the vav conversive, all we have to do is put a patach underneath it. And immediately we have the vav conversive. By now the future is going to be regarded as the past, okay? And that's simply just how we do that. It's not that complex, it's not that difficult. I want to now go and deal with the past. We got to see the future. Now we're going to deal with the past and its forms. You noticed that when we start to write out the past tense, we immediately see that the pronoun is placed at the end. The future tense, the pronoun was placed where? In the beginning, right? So in the past tense, we change it and we put it all at the end. You see the you, it stays the same thing. We find, so this is the first person here. This is the second. And now we're going to do the third. In the third person we find that the masculine form, it's the only form that doesn't have a pronoun, and it's accepted that this is the third person. Okay? This is where the root basically becomes more evident. So here we have I, you masculine, you feminine, he, and then she. Now, with relationship to the past tense, the only thing we have to realize is that there's one lesser form used, and that's the fact that in the past tense we're going to see that there is no they in two forms. This is only one form that's used for both the masculine and the feminine. Okay? So if I was to take, let's use the second root we have here, which is the word basar. Basar means in order to, it means to bring good news, or to bring about a good tiding. In generic, it means to bring a tiding, to bring information, okay? So if I said here, basar, I now have basarti. I basically brought the good news. Okay? Basarti. Basarta. You. Let's put up here. This is I. This is you masculine. This is going to be you feminine. This is going to be he, she, we, you plural feminine, well, this is masculine, and this is going to be they, plural, and this is both masculine and feminine. Okay? So basarti, I gave the good news. Okay? Basarta, you gave the good news. Basart. Bet. Oops. Need to put the dot in the other side. Basart. You gave the good news, feminine. Notice you see ta as an ata and at as an at. Okay, the ta is an at. He is simply basar. So, basar, he gave the good news. Feminine. Basra, she gave the good news. Notice the hey at the end, that's the feminine indicator for the third person feminine singular form. Nu. Basarnu, we gave the good news. Next. Basartem, you gave the good news. You as in atem, okay? You can see that the anachnu part, here you can see the atem for you masculine plural, just like you see here aten is the you feminine plural, as we will put basarten, you feminine plural, you gave the good news. And lastly, basru, they gave the good news. And here to defend just on who the context is, whether it's masculine or feminine, by how I'm going to define the meaning of this, okay? So you can see with the past tense form, you see all the vowelization is all put forth. I can use Daled Lamed Pe Sufit, or Gimel Mem Lamed, or Gimel Daled Lamed, or any of the other ones that we have in that chart, and I could put it in the same thing. I could say Gadalti, Gadalta, Gadalt, Gadal, Gadla, Gadalnu, Gadaltim, Gadaltim, Gadlu, right? I could do the same thing with Dalaf, right? Dalafti, Dalafta, Dalaft, Dalaf, Dalfa, Dalafnu, Dalaftim, Dalaftin, Dalfu, right? And you can see that you'd be doing this over and over again. One thing you'll find that in the POW form, you're going to find the similarities of sound will actually help identify quicker than you would have thought the ability to identify the form. Okay, so this is one of the things you're going to find that's actually going to make it easier, because it's not as hard as you think, because you're going to start noticing that certain roots, because they belong to a certain chart, they're going to have a certain sound. Once you get that sound in your head, you're going to say, oh, I don't have to memorize 9 different words. I just have to memorize these 9 forms, and once I hear these forms and I know these forms real well, I can already tell what form this is, okay? So that's why if I say katafti, I know katafti, T is I, katav is wrote, katafti, I wrote. Katafti, basarti, I gave the good news. Alright, bakashti, I sought. Alright, so we can start saying, you know what? I'm beginning to understand better when it comes to the issue of the sounds. That it's not as hard as I thought. That I might have thought in the beginning I'm going to have like 9 different words. But occasionally what you're going to start seeing is, because the sounds are the same, you're going to start realizing I'm listening to that change of that consonant that's going to make that change in my head to say, okay, I've heard that sound before, but the consonants are different. So I know what he's saying in the future this, or I know he's saying in the past this, I just don't know what this word is because I'm not used to that sound. And that's really what we want to understand with regard to linguistics, especially with regard to looking at understanding Hebrew. We're looking at sound. We're looking at what a thing sounds like, and we're looking at how to repeat that sound over and over again until our head gets to the point of saying, oh, I know that sound. I know what that sound is. I know the familiarity of that sound and what it means. Alright? So this is going to be the end of this video, by which I'm going to be utilizing the subject of the whole verbs. I hope you really enjoy this video. I hope that you will continue to learn and grow in your learning of Biblical Hebrew and really understand how to utilize this chart system here, okay? It's very, very important. And this section here that I'm doing, this is only referring to the future and the past tense. I'm going to do stuff with regard to the present tense in its own form, as well as the verbs, okay? These are important because I want you to get to understand as you're growing in your Hebrew, and as you're learning, especially the book that I have laid out as the lesson that I'm utilizing this stuff, you can take these words and start putting these things into the form. Whether you're going to utilize the Hebrew primer, by which I will make more videos with regard to that, where you can take it, even correct the book and the problems that it has, or you're going to utilize the Yale book, the Hebrew, Biblical Hebrew, by Kittle and Wright, I want you to take this time and really understand how this chart is working, how this chart must be used, because it doesn't matter what book you're using. It doesn't really matter what kind of Hebrew thing you're using. If you don't get the charts, if you don't understand how these verb things work, this is going to be what's going to break your ability of learning, because you really want to know these things. You really want to know how they function and work, and you want to know how to put in the right vowel points and how to put in the right parts, all right? I'll see you next time.